It's under the caption cumulative environmental impact. If I may read you that sentence. From a cumulative perspective, the impact of past and present actions on cultural, archaeological, and historic resources is substantial, significant, and adverse. These impacts would continue to be substantial, significant, and adverse with the consideration of the project and other reasonably foreseeable actions. And it goes on to the paragraph near the bottom. The magnitude of significance of cumulative impact to the alpine stone desert ecosystem from activities to date is not yet fully determined. Can you state that the project would have no significant impact to the alpine stone desert ecosystem?
What we said in the application was that based on our understanding of what was said in the EIS, the TMT project would not have a significant adverse effect.
I see. Even though it says above that the have not yet been fully determined?
Well, this says the cumulative impacts.
I see.
It says the cumulative impacts. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to distinguish between the impacts of what's proposed under this application from the cumulative impacts of all that has gone on under various permits on top of the mountain.
Mm-hmm. I'll get to a question in a minute about cumulative impact. On page 5 of your testimony, you state, as acknowledged in past actions by the board, astronomy is an environmentally responsible and economically sustainable use that does not extract a large amount of resources and does not consume significant natural resources once constructed. Is this your statement?
Where is this now? You said page?
This was on page 5 of your testimony.
Okay.
Can you explain to us what board-approved actions have led to the cumulative impact, besides extraction and consumption of resources as you described it?
There have been many observatories approved on top of Mauna Kea. In order to issue the Conservation District use permit for each of those, the board had to reach that conclusion, which is how I reached what I said here.
Thank you. So now that we get to this, how do you define cumulative?
How do I define cumulative?
Mm-hmm.
I guess I would say that I'm not the one who defines cumulative. I was relying on the final EIS, but cumulative impacts in sort of, I'll call it lay terms, is the totality of all of the changes, or the effects of the totality of all of the changes that have occurred in an area.
So when you add a new totality, I mean, if you add a new project, does that add to the cumulative impact?
I think that you're drawing a very important distinction here. And I think we have to keep it in mind or we'll all talk past one another. And what the focus has been on the individual facilities that are part of TMT, and what we tried to do in the application was point out that the TMT project is being developed and implemented within the context of all of the things that are going on in the mountain under the comprehensive management plan and the subplans. If you took the TMT project alone, I would not have made some of the statements that I did make. When you think about it within the context of all of the things the university is doing, which include the planning and implementation of those measures, I think the balance is there, and that's what we were trying to point out within the application, the discussion, is that when one looks at the total picture, not just at the 1 square foot that's disturbed by the roadway, for example, then one can reach this conclusion.
Thanks. Okay, so regarding criterion number 4, which was Exhibit A31 that you had up earlier, the proposed land use will not cause substantial impact to existing natural resources. And on page 7 of your testimony, you state that analyses that have been conducted for the proposed project show that it will not cause substantial adverse impact to the existing natural resources within the surrounding area, community, or region. Is this your statement?
Yes.
And on page 7 of your testimony, you state that the addition of another observatory will not substantially alter the present condition of the natural resources of the area. Is that your statement?
Yes.
Okay. So if the project were implemented, would the geologic terrain be altered in any way?
In that one particular location, yes.
Okay.
But remember, you go back to the broader
Just
context.
Yes and no, if you don't mind. Okay. Would the alpine desert crust of mosses and lichens be altered in any way?
Yes.
Thank you. Would the project affect the habitat of endemic and unique insects or other life forms in any way?
I'm not aware of any endangered insects that would be affected.
Not endangered, endemic.
Endemic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would the alteration of terrain using hoe-ram and bulldozers increase the sound level in the silence of the area?
Yes.
Okay. Would the dust caused by the extraction and movement of thousands of tons of rock have an impact on the air quality?
Temporary, yes.
Would the impact on air quality affect the atmosphere in which astronomy is conducted?
Temporarily, yes.
Okay. Would the dozen or more construction trucks 6 days a week, 10 hours a day, have an additional impact on the recreational experience of visitors to the summit region?
One would have to say potentially, but it's small relative to the other traffic, so whether it's noticeable or not,
Okay. Are you familiar with the term historic district?
yes.
Okay.
District.
Historic district, yes. In the summit region, including the northern plateau, is it in the historic district of Mauna Kea?
Yes.
Would the project be developed within the historic district?
Yes.
And would the project involve any alteration of the Kūkāhaula traditional cultural properties?
You know, I believe that it would, but there are going to be other people who are going to testify on that topic that are a lot better qualified than.
Are you referring perhaps to the accessway?
Yes.
Thank you. Would the project involve placement of underground utilities and paving a road on the flank of Pu'uhauoki in the traditional cultural property?
I believe it would.
Thanks. Would the cultural or recreational view plane be altered in any way?
The facilities would clearly be visible, yes.
Okay. Are there any archaeological, cultural, or contemporary sites identified in the project area?
Very large numbers and in detail in the reports that are included in the final EIS and in the application and many other documents.
Would the presence of an 18-story, 5-acre project impact the view between one site, archaeological site, and another? Or cultural site and another?
Certainly it would impact some, it would not impact others.
Okay. Is it still your testimony?
And let me just say, when I say impact, it would be visible from some of those sites. So if you were trying to look between them, it's conceivable that it would be in the way. It would be more certain that if you were standing at one looking in the direction of the others, that you might see the facility just the way you see the existing observatories from those sites.